Welcome to From Potential to Powerhouse, Success Secrets from Female Leaders, where female trailblazers share their journeys and the aha moments that made all the difference. With your host, serial entrepreneur and trailblazer herself, Tracy Holland.
Hey, welcome to From Potential to Powerhouse podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Holland.
So let's just talk. From Potential to Powerhouse is really about how women find their power, right? Mm-hmm. How women go from a situation in which they are seeking their path and their opportunity in life, and there is a moment in which they know there's a tipping point, and they think, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. As a young woman or a young girl, on your way up as your journey, was there a moment in which you thought, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to be a love coach? At what point did you have this a moment?
You know, I have done I've learned a lot of different creative modalities and business modalities. So I think a lot of the groundwork for me happened, in the creative field and in the creative arts. And I was always around some of the most brilliant creative minds and artists. Truly, I lived in Soho, and I was always around. I was around musicians and painters, and then I also.
Did you think of yourself as a creative?
I did. Well, I did performance art. I did a lot of. I had a record deal at one point. I've done a lot of different crazy, fun things. I actually used to perform as a post-operative sex change at a drag bar.
What?
Yes, my name was Darla. I used to pretend that I was a girl being a boy. Yes, I had so much fun. So here's what's really interesting about my story. At some point. But here's what's really interesting about my story. So I'm a love and relationships expert, and I became this person that really, what I do is I see people's potential.
Yes, that's what you did for me.
Yes, and yes. I met you. Our story about how we met is so fun because we were at a workshop.
Yes. Well, and it's even more fun than that because I was recently divorced. It was a horrible divorce. And I went to a relationship expert, or what I thought was a astrological expert in the relationship world. I was in the room for about 4 hours with a group of women learning about the stars and how they would align. And I thought, this is definitely not for me. Oh. And then I stepped outside and I thought, should I leave or should I stay? And she said, I have a guest expert, and she is the most renowned love expert and love fairy and incredible woman. And so you walked into the door, and seriously, on my way out, I thought, I want to talk to her. And I listened to what you had to say. And you were so poised and so eloquent, but I think just your pedigree and your knowledge around how to help women connect to their power, how to help women connect to who they are as female, how to help them feel beautiful, how to think about themselves as a love brand. And then you sent us on our way and you said, I want you to think about who your romantic brand icon would be if you could select. And so it was the first time I really ever thought of myself from an entrepreneurial perspective to put that much emphasis and activity into my love life.
Yes.
And to really start to think about building out a man plan. And that was your entire position. Let's build out a man plan. And so I'd love to talk about that. I want to talk about that as it relates to the book. But was there a point in time as you were growing up that you thought, I want to be an entrepreneur, I see myself. I mean, you really kind of created your own space.
Yes. I mean, I never thought I want to be an entrepreneur. I was a little more punk rock than that. And I think that there was not I was the only love coach when I became a love coach. There were matchmakers. Right. Patty Stanger was in that space.
Sure.
As a matchmaker. But when I met people and I said, I'm a love and relationships expert, that no one really understood what that meant because I was making it up.
Right.
So the thing that I do.
But do you think that entrepreneurs do make it up?
Right? Yes. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur, but I am a creative, and I'm also very strategic, and I see the potential in the future of things. So when I looked at you, for example, as a new client, I saw where you were,
Yeah.
and then I saw where you wanted to go. I saw in
Right.
my mind
Right.
your opportunity, and then
Right.
I helped you fulfill that. And my whole goal is to take people from point A to this point as quickly as is
Yes.
humanly possible.
Yes.
So I do that on the inside
Yes.
as well as on the outside.
Yes.
Right. So we did an amazing makeover. So I'm like a romantic stylist.
Yes.
I'm a brander.
Yes.
In that way. And then I also work with the inside and what might be hanging you up from achieving your goals, which is, I think, a big thing with entrepreneurs too, because
Sure.
I think to be an entrepreneur, right, you have to have a vision
Yep.
that's really clearly defined, and you can't need a lot of approval from the world. This is the thing. This is like the secret, I think, is I think a lot of women don't get permission. If we talk about the romantic persona, which is my work, is really in helping women develop this aspect of them
Sure.
that doesn't always get fed and doesn't get support from mothers, other women, maybe men. A lot of women are torn down
Yes.
when they've been through divorces, maybe they've been cheated on, maybe they've never felt really like, being in your feminine has not felt like it was empowering,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then there's a kind of vixen or negative aspect that's kind of very old timey, which I feel like is very out of date, which is that if you are really in your beautiful, empowered feminine, that means you're manipulative. That
Sure.
means that you are relying on your looks.
Yes.
And none of that's true.
Right.
Like, we don't have to sacrifice being whole people. So,
Sure.
a lot of my work is really about growing the romantic persona, which truly most women develop as teenagers or
Yes.
as college students, but then they stop.
Yes. So can you remember the first client who paid you to do what you love?
Oh, yes, I can. And she's really happily married with 3 children.
Is she?
Yeah, I'm not going to use her name, but she's actually on my website. And she, I wrote my book, then I did this tour of Victoria's Secret, then I came off the road and I was like, what do I do now? And then I
Yes.
started coaching and doing podcasts and teleclasses and seminars. And so she
Yes.
found me because she was on my newsletter,
Yes.
which gives weekly tips and all of that. And so I started working with her, and I had been a counselor in other ways. So I've worked with people that had drug addiction, sex abuse, incest, like very serious problems. So my first love coaching client was a young woman who loved the Lord, and she was a strong Christian, and she was dating what she thought were strong Christians, but they were also womanizers. They were also heavy drinkers, and they were not committing to her. And so I finally said, Leah, you go to Bible study 3 times a week. We need to find somebody in Bible study.
Good.
And she was like, no, they're all nerds. And I said, here's a news flash. You're a nerd.
Yeah.
And you need to find somebody that you are attracted enough to
Sure.
date. So she met her husband, her now husband, in Bible study, but she didn't he had a beard. And I was like,
So what?
okay. I send a text for her because I am kind of like Cyrano. So I send texts I
Of
will
course
send
you
clients
do.
texts
Yes.
about what to say and what to do, because a lot of the difficulty that we have in love is, it's difficult
Communication.
to come up with language that
Sure.
clearly expresses what you need.
So important.
So I teach women how to have language that's also, it doesn't shut men down,
Yes.
but makes them come hither. So I had her send a text saying, and he'd been dating her and been so respectful and was leaving early from her house so nobody in the neighborhood would get an idea. Do you know what I mean? That
Sure.
they were crossing a line. And, because she was saving her maidenhead for marriage. And I had her send a text saying, I just thought you should know, I've noticed that you are dating me with real, commitment. And you might want to know, I've got very sensitive skin. Just an FYI. And he knocked on the door for their next date, and he had shaved, except he had left a soup catcher. And she was so pissed off. And I said, no, I like that. That means that he actually pleased you, but he actually had balls, and you were not going to take them. But I said, I promise you, on your wedding day, he will shave the soup catcher. And cut to, on his wedding day,
Gone.
Shaved the soup catcher. And there's 3 children later. Here's the other thing about her.
That's
she
so
did not like the
interesting.
way that he dressed. So many women, like I help women date online, and they hate the way the guy is dressed. And
Yes.
you can always change somebody's outfit. You can't change their character.
Totally. So true.
So I said, take him out shopping.
Yes.
She's like, no, I can't. Yes, you can. Single
Yes.
men need some help.
Yes.
So they went
want help.
shopping with her mother,
Great.
and he now overspends
Great.
in the clothing department.
Great.
She's like, we've created a monster.
Love.
Adorable.
I love that.
That's that was my very first client.
So from love coaching, and I want to talk a little bit about what that ideal client for you looks like in a minute. But from love coaching, you became a keynote speaker, and then you developed your love potions,
Yes.
love script, where you've generated millions and millions of sales and dollars in
So
love
sweet.
script
Yes.
by Lauren Francis, which is one of my favorites. And I just smelled the décolleté cream, and I can't believe it. I can't wait to get myself my
Yum.
own décolleté cream.
I will be giving that to you as a gift.
I cannot wait.
Moisturize. We're moisturizing the women of the world.
So you write a book.
Yes.
It sits on the shelf for 9 years.
It didn't sell, so
take
when I wrote this book,
The manuscript. Is
yeah,
that what they're called?
I wrote a book proposal, really, is what I
Okay.
did. And I sent it out, and it got rejected by every single publisher. I even had a rejection notice saying, I don't understand what this is. It was a field guide to dating. It was a long time ago. And this book was published actually in 2006. So it's really, my follow-up book is long overdue, is
But
what
it was
I'm going to
because
say.
nobody understood, because you created your own category.
It was just ahead of its time. And what happened was 9 years later, I sent it out again, and it sold in 3 weeks, 5-house bid war for 6 figures, but it was the same exact book
Right.
proposal.
So if you were talking to entrepreneurial women right now who are trying to figure out how to make it
Yeah.
and have a day job and
Yes.
be working evenings and weekends
Yeah.
on their business idea, what would you
Yes.
say?
Oh, I would just say don't give up.
Right?
I would just say don't give up. And sometimes, so funny, I was talking to a gal this morning who had a huge bestseller when she was in the tween category. #1 bestseller, she's on the bestseller list for 14 weeks, and is now trying to sell her second book, and it's 10 years later. And I said, just, you have to remember, she was like, I always think of you, because sometimes you can have the right idea, it's just not the right time.
Right.
And I believe that, like with my love coaching really, I didn't do it because I wanted to make money at it. It was the thing I was already doing. Like Oprah says, do what you love and you'll be rich the rest of your life, or you'll,
So true.
So I really believe that, in terms of my love and relationships, kind of business, coaching, brand, I think that was the thing that I was doing for free.
Sure.
I was giving my girlfriend makeovers. I
Sure.
was the person that
People called and said, how do I send this text? I need to talk to someone that I'm really intrigued by.
Yeah,
and
and I was coaching women through all of my girlfriends through their love and relationships. And finally, one woman called me 5 times in one day, and I was like, if you call me one more time, I'm going to charge you. She was like, fine. I was like, okay.
Is that how you knew?
Well, she was taking up all my time.
That's so smart.
My boyfriend was really annoyed. He was like, get back into bed. I was like, I'm sorry, she's having a breakdown. He was like, well, you're going to have a breakdown if you don't get back into bed.
Fantastic.
It's
so smart. So, and sometimes that's how life is, right? The signs come as we open ourselves up
Yeah.
and get the message to make this a business.
Exactly.
Isn't that fun?
Exactly.
Yeah. My version of this book, I have used over and over. I love the fact that you reference men as bird types. And so I would say to you, I can't wait for the next one. because it's not fair.
It's
that
just
you
not fair.
Have only one.
I know, bad. I've been like writing avoidant.
And it is absolutely one of my saving graces. So I'm excited to have a new one. I'm going to talk about one of my very favorite topics because as CEO women and powerhouse women, a lot of us have our business and career figured out. And a lot of us have overcome a lot of no's and rejection and all of the things that it takes to build something successful. But what we haven't figured out is our love life. And when I met you, I was recently divorced. I had really lost my way in terms of my confidence in who I was as a female and as a woman. I certainly didn't see myself as a sexual feminine brand, and you really helped me figure that out. And that was so much fun. Like, that's its own conversation, actually. But what I would love to talk to you a little bit about is just this magical thing that you do with women and successful women and helping them see themselves as truly the powerhouse women that they are in their romance life, in their sexual life, in their beauty and love life. Because feeling beautiful on the outside is partially what makes you attractive. Feeling beautiful on the inside is what makes you attractive.
Right.
And so you do all of those things.
Yes.
And you have a magical way of just laying out what's possible.
Right.
Right? So not only do you see the person for who they are, and you help them identify their love, brand and their love persona.
Right.
But you also make them expand into what's possible, as we do in business so successfully. You figure out how to do in love.
Yes.
And so how? Tell me how you do that. And how did you create a business out of that? How did you create an entire entity and big empire, frankly?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I love you so much, and you've been like one of my favorite clients of all time. So she was a client, now she's a friend, and also a mentor in my beauty brand Love Script. And I feel like a lot of the women that come to work with me one-on-one. So I work with people one-on-one. I've done seminars. I've done tours, diva tours to Europe, and the Femme Fatale tour to Paris, where they're romance tours. I love romance. I've always loved romance. I read Victorian novels in the bubble bath. I love everything romantic. I'm obsessed with it. I love corsets. I love lingerie. I love all of the accoutrements that go in the perfume.
Yes.
So I started by writing my book, which did not sell. So if, I had a vision about it, I wanted to write a field guide to romance. There were no field guides to romance at that time. I got no. I got a rejection notice saying, I don't understand what this is. I wish I'd framed it. And then 9 years later, I sent the same book out. And then I had a 5-house bid war. It sold in 3 weeks for 6 figures. And really, and then it became, a bestseller and translated into, 8 languages. And just re-released. And FabFitFun actually sold it, sent it out with my perfume, which was like it was fantastic. But I feel like creating love really is just like creating a brand.
Yes.
So, you have a lot of, you're interviewing CEOs and a lot of, so if you're a woman who has created excellence in any category, I can help you create love. It's really like once you know how to master something, you have learned how to learn. You've learned how to take information, integrate it, and implement it. And so what's been so profound for me working with you is because you are such a powerhouse. I've asked you to do some really out of the box, beyond your comfort zone kind of things.
Yes.
And you just go. Right. Like you're such a warrior. You're so brave. But it's hard to know how to be brave in love in the right way. Right. 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 So when women, achieve in a business realm, there is kind of like a lot of mentorship and support around that. But achieving your relationship goals, your romantic goals, that is a very personal thing. Yes. And the coaching that most women get has been in like teen magazines. Yes. Or, Glamour or, and I've been in those magazines. I love those magazines.
Yes.
Cosmo, I was a Cosmo reader.
Yes.
Right, which is how I got the idea to write my book. I was just like,
Right.
So working with women that know how to really integrate information is really key. And it's just what to do. What do you do? What's the man plan? What's the action steps?
Yeah. It's just like a business plan. And you call it the man plan.
Yes, we had a man plan for you.
And it worked. It actually overworked.
She called me and said,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, you've created a monster. What
Yeah.
do I do with all
Yes.
these men?"
Yes, they fall out of trees. I have all these women CEO and successful friends who say, my single CEO friends say, I can't find a man to save my life.
Yeah.
There's no one out there. I'm like, there's
millions
everywhere.
of men.
Go call
At
Lauren
your
Francis.
There's
They
millions of men at your
fall out of
fingertips.
trees.
Well, so just if you're listening to this and you're like, wait, what are they talking about? So I'm an expert in digital romance. So
You are.
I do makeovers and photographs because a picture says 1,000 words, right?
Yes.
And if your photos don't really scream romance, like what is your romantic brand? And I think when I met you, I said, your romantic brand is exhausted CEO and soccer mom.
Yes. Not good.
Well, it wasn't attracting you the kind of person that you wanted to be with. So just like in any branding experience,
That's exactly right.
you have to look like the person that you're wanting to be with. You want to be the woman that the man that you're dreaming of is dreaming of.
Right. That's so
I'm going to
well
repeat it.
said.
You want to look like the woman that the man that you're dreaming of is dreaming of. So like in those car ads, for BMW, where like you just see the woman in the passenger seat, but you can't really see the dude. So men can visualize themselves into the driver's seat, which is very sexist, but it lets you know who they're trying to get to buy that car.
But it's so well said.
It's so well said. You really are doing the same thing in an online profile. It's literally a marketing exercise.
That's right.
And I have a lot of women who say to me, and you did not say this to me, because you're
I was
a
eager.
master manifester.
I was an eager student, was I not?
You were totally,
because I had done it wrong the first time.
You were done.
And so I needed
like, let's nail it.
I knew I was not qualified to help to find my own successful.
You needed
Love plan.
you needed some oversight.
I did.
You
I
needed
a mentor.
You did.
You were a love mentor for me.
It's
so
true.
true.
And you have been a business mentor for me, which is just so moving. But so I feel like if you can look at love like any other goal that you want to achieve, most women do not want to feel like they need to work on this aspect. And I always say it's like the romantic coaching we got from the Brothers Grimm. What happened? Sleeping Beauty pricked her finger on a spindle.
Right.
On a legal brief on the 57th floor, went into a coma. Right? And Snow White bit an apple, at Ralph's or at the grocery store. And somebody picked her up in the produce aisle. Women are always like unconscious in fairy tales, and men are always rescuing them, which means you're not even supposed to look for love. And it is so ingrained in us as women that we should be special enough and beautiful enough
that he's going to land
he's
on
gonna
our
find
doorstep.
us. But the problem is, maybe he will, but do you want that guy?
No.
So we want targeted marketing.
To the digital world.
Yeah. Well, we want targeted marketing so that you're doing the choosing. So that you want to create an offer which is magnetic. I call it being a man magnet.
Yes.
That's really signaling to the right kind of person.
Yes.
Right. So we did a lot of work on figuring out what your romantic icon was, and we also did a man magnet wish. Like, what is it that you really need?
Yes.
Versus what it is that you want.
Yes.
What are your needs? And then we put all that in the profile. So between the visuals of the profile and the written words, and then we did the whole thing about the vetting and the dating and the la la la. But there's
so much to go.
Millions of men are.
So for someone listening who has never been married, if you gave them 3 important pointers as a woman who's successful in her career, she's up and coming, she has everything going for her, she hasn't found the love of her life, she's in her 30s and she's thinking, he's not out there, I don't have time. And right. What do you tell her?
Just call me. I think that love, creating love, is you need to make a time investment.
Mm-hmm. So number one, time.
Invest.
Time.
And invest
just like you would in your business.
Time. But the thing is that most women don't know how to spend their time well. And they also don't like to invest financially in this part of their life. So whether it's taking photographs, getting coached, getting some mentorship around it, that education, I mean, really, like, I wish I'd coached myself when I was in high school.
I wish I'd met you at 30.
I would have been so much happier.
Right?
I made some mistakes with Paul, Horvath, when I was young. And there's many, but I feel like getting an education around this part of your life is really powerful.
Making time, getting a mentor,
getting a man plan,
getting your man plan,
setting time deadlines about when you're going to manifest things. It's amazing. I'll have women and I had you do this, creating a romantic roadmap.
Yes.
About when you wanted to meet your person. Yes. And it's amazing how many women hit those time goals.
Yes. And the other thing is, as you just mentioned, is brand yourself. And don't brand yourself as to who you think you are today. I followed your advice and I created my own beauty love roadmap as to who I was as a personal brand in my love life. And that carried all the way through to the lingerie, carried through to my shoes, my hair, my makeup, my nails.
I did a lot of shopping.
Yes, my fragrance. It's all about how you feel in your skin, right? So what are you saying to the woman who's divorced, in her 50s, makes a lot of money?
Awesome.
And is there a guy out there, and is he going to be intimidated by how much money she makes?
No. All right, so the thing that men are intimidated by successful women is actually bunk.
Is it?
It's bunk. Don't you know that? I mean, it's like you're not in your 50s, but like... But I feel like I have one of my favorite clients and most beautiful clients is in her 80s. 80s. So a lot of the I feel like age shame is done. It is so passé to be uptight about your age. It is literally passé. It's a cartoon that was drawn by a sexist man
many moons
and
ago.
A bitter woman in another age gone by. It's so last century. That's not a part of our reality.
So she's
anymore.
In her 50s.
She could be in her 60s.
In her 70s.
At any age. So all you have to do is really, what I do is I empower women to be in their most expressed romantic self. And to dream.
Right.
And no matter where you've come from or where you've been, like I do a lot of work on just like visualizing, if you could have anything you wanted.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
What would it be? And then giving people the space to visualize a future that's not a reality yet. Visualizing a future that is not a reality is the gift of every entrepreneur.
Yes.
And CEO and anybody that's built a badass brand.
That's right.
Which is why they're amazing clients for me, right? Because they already have those tools. So you visualize this reality that's not there yet. And then what I do is I help you catch up to the vision.
Right.
And what's so interesting is that it's not about finding somebody. You really found... We grew this part of you
100%
that was underfed.
Yes.
And that you hadn't had, most women don't have the permission to be empowered in their romantic feminine as well as professionally.
It's so true.
Do you think?
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think where I needed your assistance is I personally am used to asking for what I want in business. I have no problem laying out, here's where I want to be.
Right.
This is the goal. This is how we're going to get there, and navigating a way to do that. And I was taught with men to really be in waiting.
Right. The lady in waiting.
The lady in waiting. Hoping he's going to read my mind messages and someday show up and figure this out. And I think you're the first person who said, you let people know upfront in 6 months from now.
In your profile. It's in your profile.
I want a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
It leads to marriage. I want bodice-ripping romance.
Bodice-ripping romance.
And by the way, I expect a ring after a certain period of time because this is no joke. I'm not looking to date. I have already had all the fun I need to have. I'm looking for Mr. Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And be very direct.
Well, it's if you're clear about what you're creating. That's why in my book, Dating, Mating, and Manhandling, the ornithological guide, which really means the bird watcher's guide to men, I really feel like men are everywhere if you just look up, and you don't need to chase them. They flee in an attempt to resist emotional arrest. They're like birds, so if you chase them, they fly off.
That's right.
Like a little poodle chasing,
a leaf.
The birds in your yard, a leaf.
Yes.
And so what you want to do is just be clear about your goals and move forward, and the right person will keep coming back and coming back and coming back and make himself apparent.
That's right.
Right.
And how do you feel as women are saying, and I could list out all the beliefs, I'm sure you've heard them all. There are no available men. Men always cheat. What else are the beliefs that are out there?
All the good ones are taken.
All the good ones are taken. Okay,
it's impossible now during COVID.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
God.
I've had more dates during COVID than.
But you're gonna have to show them your profile photos too. Also, like you have. So the thing about creating love also is you want to create an irresistible offer. It's just like in sales.
So what do you mean?
We created an irresistible offer.
But how do you do that? Describe to someone listening, like, what does that mean?
Okay, so
I know what it means,
especially because of COVID, right? Online dating, if you're not being successful, if you're not attracting respectful, adoring, worshipful attention from men online, your profile and your photos are not working.
That's right.
Right? And when I work with women, they don't get dick pics.
Right.
Unless they want them.
Right.
Right?
I'd never have received one.
You never have received one. And
No.
and men were wildly worshipful and respectful, and your photos and your profile, it was very clear that you were a woman of substance and that you were not to be toyed with.
Yes.
Peaches. So part of the irresistible offer is really the profile and the written words are painting a romantic vision about what it is that you want to manifest.
Right.
And it's a little bit of a magic trick because you weren't there yet.
Yes.
Right? It was this was a vision. It was like doing a vision board almost. Yeah. But then the way that when men see that, they believe it to be you because it is you.
That's right.
It's the you in the future.
Sure.
But that's still the you that you're building. Just like if you're an entrepreneur and you're building a brand, you might not be holding your prototype in your hand, but you see it, you know it, you can feel it, you can touch it.
That's right.
It's real for you on the inside.
It is.
And so creating love is just like that. You have to visualize, you have to really express to the best of your ability the person that you are in that experience. And men reacted to you as if you were already there, and that gave you the confidence to be that person.
It's true.
That's so how you become. That's my magic trick.
It is. And the manifestation process or the mindset of love. I mean, you actually even help in how it's languaged. You want to have an open way of speaking and feeling and thinking about yourself.
Positive.
That's positive.
Right.
Doesn't that make a huge impact?
It does. Well, it made you less afraid of being really ballsy about what you want.
Yes.
Right? It's like and you've been able to speak about it in a way that's really romantic and aspirational.
Yes.
I always feel like what I do is I teach women how to be inspirational leaders of men.
Right.
You need to inspire people if they're going to take the hill.
That's right.
And you have to know that each woman has her own secret sauce and her own magic to share that is unlike any other. It's like if women are gelato stands, right? You're the only lavender gelato in the world. And a man's got to know that. He's got to be able to identify you and locate you.
That's right.
But he can only do that if you understand your value.
That's right. So
and language it.
So in terms of a recipe for success, because that's how we think as entrepreneurs and as women leaders, right? So we make time, we describe who it is that we are romantically, we make a list of what we're looking for, we invest, we call you. That's probably phase one. If you're fortunate enough to be in LA.
And I have free podcasts too on my website,
that's
laurenfrancis.com, and so there, I have things that are free. So like with any business, right? I've got stuff that's free. I've got programs that people, when COVID happened, I was like, oh God, I got to help my girls. So I launched a program called The Ring, which meant every Tuesday for 3 months. And a lot of those women, that was done by Zoom. And then there's also programs people can download and do self-learning. And then I also take on a limited number of, of clients that I'm doing like one-on-one makeovers with and launching them.
So in terms of how you're seeing love in the land of COVID right now, and the fact that we're outside and we're dealing with the helicopters and the poodles and the wheelbarrows and the weather, is there anything that you would say as a successful woman who's waking up every day and hitting it out of the park on all aspects, but her love life has stalled? Is there anything you're saying to her? Yeah. Think about this, do this.
Well, here's what's so beautiful is that, like, I believe that we've entered a golden age of romance because of COVID.
I agree.
I think that single people especially, and if you don't have children, and if you are single, it has been brought home in a very powerful way that you're alone during a pandemic. And the social interaction that might have filled up the spaces like your family, your girlfriends, Soho House, whatever, those have been removed. So people in couples are spending more time than ever together. They're spending more time with their children. You're an entrepreneur with 3 children. It's like everybody's really spending a lot of quality time. But if you're alone, you're spending more alone time.
That's right.
And so I feel like the opportunity right now is to really create love.
Yes.
I think we're living in a huge opportunity.
Golden
for
era.
love. And men who are single are really looking for love on dating apps now.
So Lauren, one of the things that I've learned from you is how important it is to be aware of which energy you're bringing into a relationship and a conversation. And so as an entrepreneur, in my upbringing, my father, I was born, he was thinking I was going to be a boy. So all through my 10 to 20 years of age, I was the little boy, right? And so I really didn't understand this idea of cultivating feminine energy. And my feminine energy was so successful for me in business. Right. And then it completely bombed in love and in dating.
Right.
So let's talk about feminine energy.
That's a really good point. Well, the skills that it takes to be great in business don't necessarily translate to your personal relationships.
Right.
Which is why so many powerful men have a horrible, go through terrible divorces and don't really know. It doesn't necessarily translate. And so many women that are successful, they're not necessarily transferable skills. The thing that is transferable is knowing how to get things done. And once you understand what you're going for, having the drive to be able to push through the resistance to get where you want to go.
Right.
That's what is transferable. But the dynamic, a lot of women talk to men like they're business, like they're business associates.
Right.
And if you're the CEO, you might be super bossy, super curt. I had a client who I had done a romantic rebrand. We photographed her, launched her, and her photographs were so amazing. And she was like, I'm not getting any dates. I was like, that is not possible. I want to see your text communications. And men would be like, you are so beautiful. Like literally like your eyes are liquid pools. They were like completely. And then she was sending notes back saying, thanks.
I got that feedback too. Is that bad? I didn't understand. To use a couple of zinger emojis and a little bit of softness
Yeah,
is...
I said to her, it sounds like she's a doctor, and I said, it sounds like you are writing this from the OR. She was like, I was, and I was like, okay. It's like stat. I was like, you can, if you're writing to men, this is a really important tip.
This is so...
Do not text men if you are walking into the OR.
Or in a business meeting, or in that mindset.
Or in that mindset. Literally take time and and the best time to write to people is when you're available to speak to people, because, you know, there's so much attrition. So if you're getting, you know, a lot of connections, but you're not turning them into phone calls. So my tips for COVID are basically do not meet anybody that you haven't gotten on the phone with. You want to transition. And this is like a great time for women to date. Because men who before would have just been, let's meet up. Nobody's doing that anymore.
That's right.
Literally nobody's doing that anymore.
Right.
So people are now, it took COVID to turn the dating culture into a respectful situation again for women.
It's so true.
So yeah, because men were like, I'll take a bite of it's a box of chocolates. I'll have a bite of like bonbon, pistachio, like a caramel.
I'll swipe left and then I'll just find another bonbon.
And so now every man will be willing to talk to you on the phone. And then if you like them on the phone, here's the tip, is to say to them, you know, I'm having so much fun chatting with you on the phone. Maybe next time we can FaceTime.
Great.
Or Zoom. And I can't do it right now. I've got like a little family thing. But, you know, let's set up a time. I'd love to make a date to do that. And men will. And the reason why you don't want to ask them to FaceTime when you're on the call right now and you want to say, oh, you've got something else, but I'd love to do it another time, is because you might not be in front of a ring light or, you know, like be in a cute outfit.
And so make time, look your best, get onto that.
Act like it's a real date.
Right.
Like, bring it. And, you know, and then I'm having people really treat these Zoom dates like it's actually a first date.
Smart.
So it's okay to be on the phone with men for a long time, like for an hour. It's okay to FaceTime them.
Yes.
And then if you're on the phone and you don't like people, you can just say, oh my God, well, it's been so delightful chatting. I have to run, but thank you so much for making time to talk.
You told me I've used that multiple times. It works like a charm.
And one of the things, even if you're a badass CEO, like, it's never fun firing people. Right?
No, never.
Nobody wants to hurt somebody's feelings.
Right.
Most women are caretakers. So part of the reason why women don't date more effectively is because they're not comfortable knowing how to get rid of men.
Right.
So it's not enough to attract them. You need to know how to brush them off.
Right.
And shut things down.
Yeah. And you do it so eloquently.
Well, you do it now.
Well, now I know how to do it, but it's so important.
Thank you so much for making time. And then if men say, well, can't we get together? Just because, you know, I'm not quite feeling that little.
It's easy.
That little click.
Zing, you called it.
The little zing that I wanted to feel. And if they say, well, what's missing? Don't tell them, because men become attorneys and try to talk you out of it.
Right.
So it's just like a gut feeling. Nobody can argue with a gut feeling, even in the lung.
Right.
It's like that little stuff.
But the feminine energy is so important. We're not talking like
you and I talk on this podcast. This is actually how Tracy and I talk.
This is it, though. This is exactly what the feminine energy, because honestly, it was even being aware of walking into a room and recognizing and asking myself, who am I bringing into the room right now? Am I bringing CEO tough Tracy into the room, or am I bringing kitty cat Tracy?
Yeah, and the thing is, you don't have to. So this romantic persona, it's not making you smaller, right? It's an expansion.
It is an expansion
of your personality. And I'm going to say that it's really interesting. I'll work with women, and a lot of women haven't been encouraged to grow this part of them or think that it was really a valuable asset.
That's right.
But it is when it comes to creating love. And women who are used to working to get what they want,
yes,
I don't want them working hard.
Right.
When it comes to relationships.
Right. You've also taught me that.
Right.
This is where you get to sit down and put down the oars, so to speak, and let the river carry you. Because as soon as you pick up those oars and think you're going to push this faster.
A relationship.
Yes. Or love.
Well, this is where they say you can make it happen, but you can't make it work.
Right.
And I think that a lot of women who make things happen, definitely, if you apply that to your love life, it doesn't work well, because men truthfully want to decide.
At the end of the day.
And, and we want to decide too, but men need to be really inspired. It's like a whole other topic, but men really need to be empowered to pursue and to be in, we talked about the oatmeal in the bowl. That's a whole other conversation. We can do this part B of this podcast too.
The oatmeal in the bowl.
Yeah. So you don't want to be doing the man's part of the, the dude's part of the relationship.
Holding the container.
Yeah.
That's his job. You're the warm, gooey oatmeal.
Yeah. I talk about the oatmeal in the bowl and how women are like oatmeal, men are like the bowl. And women, at the end of the day, do want the man to provide and create the structure of the relationship, which is the courtship, the form of the relationship. But you have to know what you're looking for to make sure that you're if you don't have similar relationship goals,
yes,
which again is just like being an entrepreneur, like what do you want to create? If you do not have parity or unity about what you both, if what you want is not what he wants,
yes,
you need to cut him loose.
That's right.
Right away.
Right.
So I really encouraged you to find out what a man's relationship goals were right away.
That's right. And the other thing you encouraged me to do is to, on the first date, ask him what his legacy is. What is he trying to do? What is he trying to create?
The man's mission.
The man's mission.
Yes.
Is it building an empire? Is it
something you can support as a woman for the rest of your life?
That's right.
It's the reason why he's going to partner you for the long term or cut you loose.
In fact, in your book, Dating, Mating, and Manhandling, which I love, as I mentioned, you actually have a list of questions to ask on a date. You actually have a list of questions at some point.
Put that up for the podcast.
Yes. Like, ask these imperative questions, and here's how you can ask it and not sound too direct. Are you dating other people? It's an actual question that you suggest. So who else is, in his flock? You want to know. And you lay out exactly how to ask and navigate these things that as women we are a little afraid to ask. Or we think that somehow we're supposed to be the investigator and figure it out.
Like too bossy or too, they're too polite.
Right. So is there the doormat, and then there's the kind of the bossy.
The doormat with teeth. Then there's you can be too much. You can be too direct. So it's so that's the art of romance.
Right.
There's an art, I call it romantic research.
That's right. And
just want to find some information out.
That's right.
First date doesn't mean anything. It's just like, but you want to create an enjoyable, pleasurable experience for yourself. And if you're not having a good time, it's hasta la vista.
Right. So every single woman listening has similar questions. So I'm going to ask.
Okay, great.
It's just a yes or no answer. There's no right answer. Okay. Call him first or not.
Depends.
Oh, well, that's not a yes or no. Sleep with him on the first date, yes or no?
John and Yoko slept together on the first date. It worked out for them. However, it just depends on what your intentions are. If he's just for fun, he's just for fun. And if you want a deeper connection, I always say it takes a moment for, the dime to drop for men from their brain, which is their eyes. It drops from their eyes to their dick and then to their heart, usually. That's usually what happens.
So it's like it's gravity and then it comes back up.
Come back up.
I have a visual. Okay, that's great. Meet him on the first date or allow him to pick you up?
No, definitely meet him.
On the first date? The
first date really should be on the phone or FaceTime or Zoom.
I know. I'm saying non-COVID. Pretend we're meeting on regular terms.
Definitely meet him. Don't tell him where you live. You can even use a nickname.
Okay. At some point, before things get serious, talk about money. Don't talk about money. How much you have, how much you make, how much he has, how much he makes, debt, income.
I always feel like, financial infidelity is more damning to relationships than physical infidelity. So if somebody cheats on you with your finances, it's actually more of a relationship killer than if he had sex with, your best friend.
Wow.
Although both would be terrible.
Wow.
But just statistically. So I feel like you want to understand somebody's financial package. You want to understand the whole package.
So it's a yes.
If you're really wealthy, I suggest that women literally do a background check. To
Sure.
See if there's debt, if there's bankruptcies. You know, a lot of people are not very forthcoming
Sure.
about what's going on
Okay.
with their financial situation. And you also, I feel like online, you don't want to present, you want to look like you're in the category of life that you are living in. So that's, the photographs can reflect, you know, your abundant life, but I don't think you owe it to anybody to tell them your net worth. They'll Google it.
And figure it out.
Yeah, and you can also do the same for men.
Okay. I love the leaf blower. I like that added touch.
Yeah.
And lastly, do you say your real age on your profile or not?
No, you don't. That is such a personal question. That is really a personal question.
Sure.
Here's what I think. We don't ask men how much money they have in the bank.
Right.
And still, truthfully, men and women both fudge about their ages. And if you want to put yourself, if you're online and you're not getting the attraction or the traction that you want, if you lower your age, you're going to get a lot more views. People are screening you out. It's just search preferences. So you can say, but don't say, I'm actually, if you're like 55 and you've said you're 45, don't say in your profile, I'm really 55. Don't bother.
Right.
You know, just talk to them and see if you like them.
Right.
If you like them, and if you feel like that's something important to share. Like, once women are over 45, men are not going to be dating you to have children with you anyway.
Right.
What does it matter?
Right. And by the way, I'm buying and they're selling. That's how I think of it.
Exactly. And if men say, are you 40? You can say, I am on Tinder.
There you go.
That's a perfect comeback. But I feel like that's my Aunt Blanche, she died, and Uncle Matt still didn't know how old she was.
See? I think that's fine. Well, I am so thankful for having you. You are a superstar author, success story on every level.
Thank you,
And helping people like me find love. Like,
Yes.
there's nothing more important.
Yes.
There's nothing more important.
Let's talk about just as a last button, love script, because that was like the next iteration.
Yes.
Because that's really.
And we'll just
So how did you come up with love script?
Yeah.
Just ask me like a little lead-in.
perfect. So after you did the book, and then you were taking on high profile, high net worth clients and coaching, and then teaching women how to create feminine space in their own world and feminine products and feminine, you just developed Love Script. Tell me how you developed it. What was the big idea
This is
behind
what's so
it?
funny, and this is really the truth about my entire career. Everything always takes me 9 years. So with a book, I had the idea about it, didn't sell.
9 years later.
9 years later. And then when I did this tour with Victoria's Secret with the book, the head of marketing said, oh, you should do a perfume. And I was like, when am I ever going to do a perfume?
Right.
And then I had a client who couldn't afford me, and I said, just give me some perfume. She had a little mom and pop shop.
And that's how she paid you?
Yeah. She paid me in perfume.
Oh,
I liked her a lot.
okay. I think so.
Anyway,
How much perfume?
it was like a lot of perfume. So much perfume. So here's the thing, is that she gave me a bottle of perfume. I put this on, called it Man Trap perfume. It's delicious.
I know. It's
You've
a
worn this on
vanilla,
dates.
sultry. Yes.
Anyway.
It makes you want to eat something delicious.
You smell like dessert.
It's gourmand.
And it's a gourmand scent. And, I think 79% of all men prefer gourmand scents.
So where can people buy this?
Oh, well, you can go to lovescript.com and buy it on my website. But what happened was, FabFitFun said, can you make 1 million units of this? I
Yes.
was selling it out of the back of my van.
Yes.
It was
Except
nice.
that you don't drive a van.
I know,
You drive
a van.
gorgeous,
But
classy
it's just
car.
like, just saying, it was like a little sign. It was just like a fun
Right.
piece of swag. It was
Right.
like giving somebody like a
But
t-shirt.
this is a man trap. There is a reason you call it man trap.
Yeah, it just makes
It's human
does
trap.
make-
It's delicious.
Dogs, women, children, everybody loves this scent.
Everyone.
So FabFitFun said, could you make 1 million units of it? And I was like,
Of course.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I found a manufacturer the next day. They didn't buy 1 million units out of it, but they bought my body wash.
Love
Your body
Script?
Yes, your body
It's
is a
a temple.
Worship it. And so what happened was I started developing products because it wound up in FabFitFun, and now it's in BoxyCharm, and they all come with like
It's
these
so
little,
good.
and it's called Love Script.
It's so good.
I
Yeah.
literally designed it so it didn't clash with anything that could be in a subscription box.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
So that was the design element. It was
Yeah.
like, how do I design something that doesn't
It's
clash?
not going to clash.
But it's so classy.
Thank you. And fragrance is a big part of this scent. But what's
I
so
love it.
interesting, and I'm a writer, so Love Script.
I love
your body's
that.
a temple, nourish it.
I haven't
bless it,
smelled this one.
Anoint it.
Yeah.
This is the body butter.
I love
This
this.
is like orange blossom.
Oh,
It's really
it's
good, right?
delicious. Yes. I love it.
I go to Tracy for brand
Yes.
approval.
Yes.
Anyway, so we're doing the brand now. It's like a Martha Stewart for love. So it is a romantic lifestyle brand, and we're making
love that.
cheetah robes and sleep masks, and it's another opportunity for me to create a whole world
Another
of
business.
romance.
But it is how women get in their feminine energy.
Right.
It's like you set up your bathroom, you set up your bath, you set up your
It's called Love
boudoir.
Script Bath, Body, and Boudoir.
I love it.
So it is another extension of my obsession with romance.
Right.
It's just another way for me to express and create a romantic world, which
So-
is my thing.
Right. And so they can get it on FabFitFun. They can get a
BoxyCharm,
BoxyCharm and your
Website.
website. It is Love Script by Lauren Francis, the most fabulous love fairy on the planet, love mentor, love coach, president of the United Love States.
The United
You could
States
be.
of Love. Yes.
I could not recommend you
International.
anymore.
You're so
And
welcome.
I really, really appreciate you coming on and talking to all of these incredible women
Thank you.
who are seeking ways to fill their cup.
Yes.
They're filling their entrepreneurial cup.
Find the
Now they
things
need
that you
to
love.
find
Well,
a
it's
way.
like- and it's like find the thing that you love and just keep doing it. That is really, and it's okay to have a
Mhm.
B job. I was a publicist. I was an event planner.
That was
You
your
know,
job
that was my
while you
job.
paid.
I used to.
your way.
I was a waitress back in the day. So it's
Right.
just like do the thing. Just support yourself, but do the thing that you love, and don't take no for an answer. This is what I will say as a woman.
Yes.
I felt like I had to be perfect.
Yes.
I felt like my stuff had to be perfect before I put it out into the world.
Isn't that true?
And my ex I was partnered with Matt Groening, who created The Simpsons, and I had a record deal that I didn't sign. I had a lot of things. I had a lot of opportunities, but I didn't have the security. I didn't have the conviction that I was ready, or that it was done, or that it was good enough.
Perfect.
And a lot of women, like female painters, a lot of women feel like they have to be perfect before they put things out into the world.
Isn't
And
that
what
true?
I learned from Matt, he said it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to get done.
That's right.
And so I really understood
Right.
that I just had to do what I loved, put it out, and move on, and be willing to court rejection. This is the other big tip for me, is that in terms of finding love, or creating a brand, or doing your thing, it's okay to get no's. Like I had to develop a relationship
That's
with
absolutely
getting
true.
turned down, with not having somebody be the right fit, be the right, financing fit, the right branding fit.
That's right.
And even with FabFitFun, I had to go back. It was very interesting because I was giving them samples, but finally I was like, oh, it's got to be packaged correctly. I actually paid for packaging
Smart.
as soon as it was in fully realized packaging. It wasn't
They
enough
could
that-
say yes.
it wasn't enough that the content was great.
Yes.
I had to complete the packaging of
Yes.
it, which is also true about love.
Yes.
And then I got the yes, and then it's been yes, 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 yes.
And it's so true about love too.
Yeah.
I know. It's actually taking your magic that you do with people and putting into product.
That's it.
That's it. I love it. I'm so excited to watch this business grow
My mentor.
as
This
well.
is my business mentor.
I can't wait. It's going to be, I mean, you've already created a multi-million-dollar brand, so I cannot wait to help you figure out how to just take it to the next level. What can we do next? It's going to be like so much fun. So thank you
for
so
having
much
me. I'm so moved.
for coming.
I'm
It's
so
so
excited
much fun.
about this podcast.
I am too.
I'm
I'm
excited
really
for you.
excited to help a lot of women find their way, just like we had to find our own way. And don't you wish we had us to call and just say,
10 years
what
ago.
do we do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do we do?
help me out. So, Lauren, if anyone wants to track you down, if there's a woman out there listening and she needs your support and your help and to hire you as a love coach, who does she call? How does she call you? How does she reach you?
Awesome. Well, I am Lauren Francis. I'm Lauren Francis Love. That's FRANCES. Lauren Francis Love on Instagram.
Yes.
And Love Script Beauty on Instagram. Those are my two
Perfect.
brands. And then my website is Lauren Francis. You can go to laurenfrancis.com and get.
And it's ES. FRANCES.
And also a dose of vitamin L is my podcast.
Yes. And anyone who just says Lauren Francis Love, they'll find so many TV shows and guest appearances and incredible.
This is my favorite.
And fabulous tips and tricks and everything that you have to give and more. Thank you so much.
Darling.
It was so much fun.
Lots of love.
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 Thank you for tuning in to From Potential to Powerhouse, Success Secrets from Female Leaders with your host, Tracy Holland.